Hi everyone, Buddy here. I don't really know how, but you clicked on this video. So thank you so much. Anyway, I wanted to showcase the work I've been doing on Marathon as a fan project. Truth be told, I wasn't that excited to make the YouTube video, but here we are. Quick summary, Marathon launched a while back, and me and my group have been playing it ever since. As the distinctive gentlemen we are, we usually check Reddit and the net to read about the game's overall appeal, and couldn't help but notice something. A lot, and I mean a lot of people criticize the UI. Now listen, I'm no master at this, but I was like, hey, I can fix that. Maybe? Perhaps? I'm not really sure. Anyway, I decided to go forward with a redesign for two screens, which really felt like they needed an upgrade. And these two screens are the main menu and the inventory screen. I set myself 3 rules at the start of the project. Rule number 1, everything had to be done in a week. Rule number 2, I must not get carried away. The focus was on 2 screens and that's all I should do. And rule number 3 is to bring myself to make a YouTube video about it. Which, as you might have noticed, is kind of bad? I don't know, I suck at this, so please excuse me. Anyway, enough talking and let's get this started. As part of the core design thinking process for UI UX, this was probably the most vital step of the whole work, as this is the step that will define your whole process. I really spent a lot of time, like genuinely, really a lot of time scouring the net like literally a private investigator gathering any sort of dirt I could find. And truth be told, it was rather fun. I did have to read through some very questionable comments, but it was all for a good cause. I don't really mind it. I also had great help from my friends whom are also Marathon players, so I took a lot of their feedbacks and the things they don't like about the UI. So it was really a great step, I don't know. Anyway, this step was super crucial as mentioned, and I was so glad to get it done with, and I felt like the material I had was perfect for what I had in mind in the next chapters. After gathering all those negativity balls, it was now time to distill everything into clear problems. Basically, turning it from something like this to something like this. Pretty impressive, huh? I wish it was that easy when I did it, but hey, beggars can't be choosers. Anyway, from all the critics gathered, I could see that players often complained about 3 main things. The first one being nested sections inside of sections. These are stuff like the customized screen being hidden behind way too many screens and takes way too many steps to reach. The second one is basically the redundancy between the loadout and vault screens. A lot of people felt like these 2 screens should be connected and should be one main screen. And then the third one is basically multiple steps and actions needed to be taken to do a specific task. So these are things like changing a shell or basically changing a weapon skin. These things are big things that need to be handled, and we'll definitely take care of them in the next steps in this study. Anyway, I also made a task flow analysis, or also known as a user flow mapping, which is to document the steps a player takes to complete a specific action. This really gave me a pretty nice picture about the current state of things and was definitely helpful in making me set my goals for the next steps. This step is definitely one of my personal favorites because it's basically where you explore solutions to the set problems that you discovered in the previous steps. You basically write down or even draw potential solutions and fixes or ideas you have that could address the issues you've collected. It's kind of harder than it looks, but as mentioned, it's quite fun. I enjoyed it. I had a lot of different ideas I wanted, but ultimately, the more I went on, the more I grasped what the final product should look like. At this stage, I had a few ideas at the top of my head to simplify and add features to the inventory screen, mainly the compare feature, which, to be honest, I feel like should have been part of the game during the release, but hey, I love Marathon and I think it's quite an amazing game. One of the ideas I had was having the shell in the middle of a merged vault and loadout screen. Quite ambitious, but I thought to myself that this will allow me to clear a lot of space in the end through combining the shell with the implants and cores. I also experimented quite a lot with the main screen layout and noted down what things should be implemented in order to make the experience better. And thankfully, I came up with quite a couple of fixes and ideas. So I'll see you in the next chapter. Alright, I know that I said the previous step was one of my personal favorites, but this one is my favorite. Because it was time to turn the ugly looking black and white boxes into actual beautiful UI. I was really happy with how my low fidelity work turned out, so it made prototyping way easier. Watching it all come together was surely satisfying and nice to see, and I was very happy about it. I had a checklist to do and was so happy to see that all the mental check marks I had in mind were all addressed in the final mockup. Next up was taking it all into Adobe After Effects to animate the hover states and interactions, and everything was now complete. All in all, here is what I managed to achieve. I added a compare button, which was so needed. I also added a shell choice and skin customization buttons to the inventory screen. This way, you can basically edit the shell that you're playing with on the inventory screen. There was basically no more need to go to the customize screen to do that. I also added weapon attachments to be visible on the weapon rectangle itself rather than having to hover it, because I feel like this is the type of information that you want to be visible at all times. I also added a weapon customization shortcut, which directly takes you to the weapon customization screen for the specific weapon that you chose. Right now, you'd have to go through multiple screens to just get to the weapon you want, so it felt a little bit weird somehow. Anyway, I also added a lot to the main menu. I added a map selection, a map mode selection, loadout preview, and player banners. This one is my personal favorite, to be honest, because it reminds me a lot of Destiny. I played it a lot since I was young, and it felt like a nice throwback to Destiny. Anyway, I also added a contract details, which you can basically hover over and see the contract details that you have. So I guess it's time now to show you guys the final work. Please be kind to me because it really took me a lot of effort to basically reach this state, and while I'm not a professional and I'm nowhere near as good as the people who actually made this UI in this game, I still feel like what I added was something nice. I don't know. Thank you so much, and please enjoy it.